Welcome to Disruptive Capitalists, the show where purpose-driven entrepreneurs and bold investors share how they're reshaping the world by investing time and money in a way that improves lives and creates wealth. So let's get to it. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for another great episode of the Disruptive Capitalist Podcast. My guest today is Kevelyn Guzman, who is the Regional Vice President at Coldwell Banker Warburg in New York City, where she helps guide the firm through its big acquisition, modernization. She's known for flipping the traditional brokerage model by treating agents like the core client, which is a massive disruption because usually it's all about that bottom line. But when you make it all about people, it is such a difference. We're going to talk about that today. She pairs high touch leadership with smarter systems, clearer communication, and tech that helps agents win across generations in the Manhattan market. So her leadership has been recognized widely, including Women Worth Watching in 2024, Housing Wire Women of Influence, and RIS Media Newsmaker and Inman Power Player in 2025. Kevelyn, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me, Sam. And thank you for that great introduction. I am in one of the most competitive markets. I am a native New Yorker. I started in Wall Street. I was there for a couple of years, and I moved over to a smaller real estate company in Manhattan. And then I made my way to Warburg Realty 18 years ago, and I never left. And through Warburg, we were acquired by Coldwell Banker in 2021. And I then stepped into the role of regional vice president. And I have to say, I've been on so many different sides of the business, but most importantly, I went from being in a boutique firm to this huge powerhouse, right? When we were acquired, it was sort of like, okay, there's a blue pen department, a red pen department, and we had to adjust to this big powerhouse company, which was great for us because, as you can see, these smaller boutique firms are almost non-existent at this point in Manhattan. They've slowly been acquired by bigger companies. We were one of the few ones standing when we were acquired. And so we knew it was a matter of time. The landscape changed so quickly and in a way that there was no way for a boutique firm to survive. So when Coldwell Banker came along, it was a match made in heaven for us because A, they didn't have a presence here in New York City, and B, we are company owned, which makes a huge difference as well. And so we have this powerhouse and the global network. So for us, it was a no-brainer. And as the landscape continued to change and the company changed, I also shift gears. See, when we were Warburg, it was all about the brand. The agent didn't have a brand. The agent was basically just under the umbrella of Warburg, and that's a huge disservice to the agent. Mm-hmm. And so then I shift focus, and I said, I want to focus on the agent brand because ultimately sellers and buyers are not hiring the company. They're hiring the agent, someone that they trust, right, someone that they believe is going to help them through perhaps the biggest purchase of their life. And so it's the agent they're hiring, not the company. And so we shift gears and we focused on the agent first. And that really has helped us because I've built strong relationships. Our agents are succeeding, and I feel good about what we're doing.
That's fantastic. I think it's so underrated when you change your perception, you change your focus from the money to the people. You make more money and you feel better. So I know you have met a lot of people in your life that feel empty inside and they struggle. They have tons of money. They have all this success and glamour, but inside they're empty. They're searching for something. They don't know what it is. And you found it. You were able to create it inside of that capitalistic paradigm, which I think is just amazing. And how was so the culture, you talked about the culture a little bit of Warburg and then Coldwell Banker and how you guys changed things. What has what has been the result in your agents or your clients' lives since then?
So Warburg was very much a boutique, almost like a club in New York City. Not everyone got in. Some of the people that were here were not perhaps what you and I would call the best humans, right? And so as the culture started to shift, the agents that are here today really value those things, right? And so you can see it when they're interacting with their buyers, with their sellers. You feel it, you see it through the transaction. They're good people. They're doing the good work. And I got to tell you, agents don't get enough credit for what they do. It is a very, very hard job. Okay. Like, these are independent contractors that are not getting a paycheck every week. They basically eat what they kill. And so they might not have any income for 6 months. But they have to show up every day with a smile on their face and doing the right thing when no one's looking. And so people forget about that, how hard agents work, and that this is their livelihood. And when you are pushed against the wall this way, people tend to do bad things. Yep. But I am proud to say that the agents here always do the right thing, no matter how difficult it gets. And not for nothing, it has to do with top down, right? It's what they're seeing. It's what they're living here. It's the culture. Their colleagues are that way. And so it all matters. All of it matters.
That's fantastic. One of our early sayings was, people matter. And that was just like our mission, people matter. And it's so true. It is so true. It takes time. I'm sure that culture change didn't happen overnight when you guys were acquired and moved
hard.
over. It was hard. Yeah. Changing the culture.
Hard. Yeah.
What would you say you guys did? Was there anything specific that you did that really helped drive that change to a people-focused organization?
Trust was very important. See, we are in a relationships business, and our buyers and sellers are hiring us because they trust us. And if your agents don't trust you, there's no point. And when we were transitioning over, getting our agents to get on board, to follow us through this incredible journey, they have to be able to trust you. And look, I'm not going to lie, we lost a few agents as well. We had $3 million, walk out the door within hours, right? Agents have to feel that they can trust you. And that wasn't under my leadership, right? But I was here to witness. And so what I've learned in my career are the things not to do, what not to do in acquisitions and when it comes to building culture. And I would say that the one thing that I focus on is trust. And how do you build trust? You do what you say you're going to do. You start there, right? If I tell you that your split is X every year, I'm going to follow through with that. If I tell you that I'm going to provide resources and services to you, I follow through with that. And that's how you build trust. You build trust by when you have those difficult transactions that you show up for the agent. And I had to do that. And yes, I've been here 18 years, but in different roles. And so in this particular role, people look to me for certain things. And so making sure I deliver on my promises, making sure that I see things through, that's how you build trust.
I don't know if you've ever read the book, Moves in Speed of Trust, or The Speed of Trust, how hard it is to build it, how fast it is to lose it. And it's exactly that way with agents, right? I hire agents that I know can sell the property and that I enjoy working with. That's it, right?
That's all it comes down to. I have met agents where I have said to them, perhaps I can call another company for you, or I can refer you somewhere else because this is not going to be the right fit for you. And oftentimes when that happens, I don't see it as a negative, but more that I am proud that we know the caliber of agents that we want in our community. And when you identify those agents and you feel strongly about having the right people, it's like having the staff as well. You have to have the right people in the right seat. Because if you don't, that's when problems start. But going back to trust, the minute it only takes 1 second, one bad decision, the wrong thing to say, the wrong thing not to deliver on, to lose trust. And it is a ripple effect, right? Because that agent then talks to the next agent that tells them, this happened. And so now suddenly you have a toxic environment, all because of one simple thing that could have probably been easily resolved. And so I'm really mindful, really careful of how I lead and what I say and how I deliver on things. And I don't overpromise.
Yeah, very important. Now you've been doing a lot of great things with Coldwell Banker. You flipped the script. You've turned it into a people-focused organization. You had people that are growing up in that now. The culture has changed. If they don't fit, send them on their way, because that's someplace else that they can go and fit better, which is great. Not everybody's going to have that fit. And then outside of that, you're also doing stuff focused on people elsewhere. Can you tell us about the New York City committee of what moves her and your work there?
Yeah, so I am the youngest of 4 girls. So I grew up in a household in New York City full of girls. Now, as you can imagine, that as I look back, wow, what so much craziness. Yeah. But there's I grew up with a strong sisterhood. And that I've carried that with me all my life. My sisters are my best friends, and I've had a lot of friends, and their friends have become my friends, and there's a lot of women in my life. But the irony is how I ended up in a industry dominated by women as well. And so it's fascinating because the leaders at the top have always been male dominated. The real estate companies here in New York City have been male dominated, but historically, real estate for women became something of, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I just need to keep busy. So I'm going to do this real estate thing, probably do a couple of deals a year, not really committed, but it keeps me busy and out of the house whenever the kids are in school. That's how this whole thing started, but it morphed into something bigger where women made a career out of this. And so in our office here, we have a lot of women. And so for me, I'm thrilled. I mean, look, I have a lot of men as well, but sure, I'm thrilled because I grew up with that, right? And I know, women, you hear the stories, women can be catty, but because I've been around it for so many years, I know how to deal with it. And so when What Moves Her came around, when I found out that Anywhere, Sue Yannicon, had created What Moves Her, I was like, at first I thought it was like a yoga class of some sort that the company was providing for employees. And then when I read more about it, I was like, this is right up my alley. So I started a chapter in New York City, and I have grown it. And I'm really proud because I host these networking events. I bring women together, and you could see the magic happen. You can see the networking. You can see the business happening in real time. You can see referrals, and it's a wonderful thing. I've had panels. I had Candace Bushnell one year, and Erin Lauder in a panel at Scarpetta. We had over 100 women, and it is a wonderful thing. And so I feel because I am great at building relationships, I am also a connector. And so the thing that I love to do is connecting our agents and connecting other women as well. And look, my chapter is open to men as well. But, it's just organically, for me, it's felt natural to gravitate towards doing something with women. But I welcome men as well, and men love it. I host events that men are welcomed, and they learn some things as well. So It's a nice little community. I host an event every quarter. And I love for people to get involved. Now I've gotten to a point where people reach out to me to host events and network with us. So I'm proud of what we've done.
That's fantastic. Is it a nonprofit or it's a for-profit education platform? How would you guys
Nonprofit.
describe it? Nonprofit?
No, nonprofit. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. That's so great. I have found it, particularly since COVID, when people stopped kind of interacting as much, that we are craving that relationship again, where we can go and have a reason to gather and to talk and to learn. And I found it over and over again that people are craving those opportunities to learn from somebody who's been doing it. And we get that from Think and Grow Rich, like the mastermind and so forth, which has turned into a real big money-making industry. But that's wonderful. I don't find a lot of those for women.
So I have to say that after COVID, New York City we have clubs everywhere. And I feel like it was born out of the necessity of people wanting to connect in a deeper, much larger way. They want to feel like they're a part of something. And so now in New York City, we have all of these clubs everywhere. I mean, it's super expensive to join, but believe it or not, they're crowded. People are joining and paying the $10,000, $15,000 fee because they feel like they want to be a part of something. And after COVID, we saw a lot more of these clubs popping up everywhere. There's a big, massive one, I don't remember the name of it, that just opened up, and it is club on steroids, right? And the fee is just, I don't understand it. But then, the fees are like $15,000, $20,000, and you still have to pay for the food and everything else you use in the establishment. So the fee is just to walk in the door. And I truly believe that people are joining those clubs out of the need to connect, because so much of that was lost during COVID.
It really was. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see how things have changed quite a bit since COVID. And now things are changing again like crazy with AI and tech. And what are you doing with your agents? Maybe even with what moves her with tech and helping people prepare themselves for the future.
At first, when AI started popping up everywhere, our agents were resistant. They were sort of like, this is not okay. We shouldn't be using AI. I mean, a million excuses. No one wanted to embrace it. We're in a better place now because they're seeing that there's so much positive in using AI, and there's so much, it's not going to replace the human element. There's no way it can do that, right? And so the idea that AI is going to replace agents, how is that possible?
It's not.
I mean, unless we have robots that do the showings and connect with people, there's no way that that's going to be possible. What it has done, it has saved the agent time. It can pull reports much faster. It can give you the data that you need to send to your seller or your buyers. It can create property descriptions. It can save you time so that you are more efficient in your business. That's what it's done for us. And everyone is embracing it now. I have to tell you that people are now looking to AI more than Google. I remember the days when we would go to Google and, search for the nearest restaurant, and now you go to AI, and not only does it give you the restaurant, it gives you the link. It tells you what time it opens. It takes it a step further. Do you want me to, it is amazing, right? You open social media and there's AI is embedded, right, in everything we do. And it just saves us time. And we're embracing it. We do a lot more training now. It has become a part of the vocabulary. It is our go-to. And so, like for us, we use Microsoft. And so we have Copilot, right? And everything we do on our phones, there's AI is in there, right? So we just have to embrace it. So we've come a long way. The last 6 months has been a lot about incorporating AI, using AI, getting efficient, and it's worked. And I personally, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. It saves us a lot of time.
Same. I also feel like something happened 6 months ago where it just got good enough where people could start really using it and relying on it. It still hallucinates and comes up with weird stuff sometimes, or is overly optimistic. You're like, that's not true. Or you're like, that math is wrong.
Right.
Fortunately, those of us who went through math can still know how to do it. So like you can see stuff and you're like, okay, that's wrong, but it's getting better and better and better. And I'm using it all day, every day to help. And I'm hardly agree. It will replace some jobs, but it will not replace humans. It will replace humans who are not using AI.
I agree. As someone that has small kids, I have a 10 and a 12-year-old, and they're using AI. And I fight with them all the time because I fear that for that age, they won't have their critical thinking muscle developed in a way that we had it, because they're starting to become dependent on AI. And so I find myself fighting that with them all the time. And so my daughter will ask me a question and she's like, I'll just ask AI. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you haven't even given me time to think about the question. Right. And so and I say to them, there's this really important muscle, creative muscle, critical thinking muscle that you haven't developed yet, that you have to focus on developing that. For us at our age, it's totally fine to use AI because we've developed that muscle, right? And we can think without it. We've never even had it, right? It's just making our lives much easier. But at a young age, they grew up with devices, with iPads. And when COVID happened and the shutdown happened, they were forced to learn through technology. And so for them, it's natural. But I always say to my kids, like, for you, this is not okay. For us, totally fine. Right. It's like when Alexa came around. And I'm guilty of this. I had an Alexa in every room, right? And so Alexa would remind me of the garbage, would remind me to, so she was basically my calendar manager. And we didn't even turn on the lights without Alexa doing it, right? So, but you have to embrace those things. And then over time, you kind of stop using it a little bit. And I think that's what's going to happen with AI.
I agree. I think what I have seen is when people use AI to, hey, I need this, and it gives you a response, that'll stick. All this other stuff where you have to go an extra couple of steps to use AI, that'll eventually just go away and will come back. My fear, like yours, is I know when generally I know when it's hallucinating, or I know when the numbers are off, but my kids don't, because they can't do that math in their head. They never exercise that muscle. And their response is, well, why would I do that? I can just ask and it'll tell me what the square root of 12 is, or something like that. And, they can just speak it in there. They don't even have to know what the symbols mean, and it'll tell them the answer. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this all rolls out over time. But the thing that sticks to me is the human looking at the data, asking for the information. That's always going to be the case. The human's going to issue the prompt. AI can digest all the information and bring it back, but the human still has to say, this is what we're going to do with that information, or it's gibberish. That's not what I'm looking for. I need this. And those humans who learn how to engage and work with it as a tool in their tool belt will be far more efficient and effective than those who do not.
I 100% agree. I mean, look, for our sales meetings, we have AI, record and type up the minutes for the meeting. It's fascinating. It's saving us so much time, but we still have to check the work. It's like when it writes the property description. I tell our agents all the time, just because it gave you a rough draft doesn't mean that we're
Yeah.
going to upload it that way. You still have to look it over. You still have to make your tweaks. You still have to add that human element that AI can't do, right? AI did not walk through the apartment. It doesn't appreciate the character in there. So you have to do that. Like you have to be the one to write that about the property. So there's a lot still to be done around AI.
Absolutely. Well, Kevelyn, it's been wonderful speaking with you today.
Likewise.
Thank you for taking time, and thank you for being focused on human beings. In my world, the military and other places where I've been, I worked for people who did not focus on the human being, and it was terrible.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I think there's a lot of industries out there that don't focus on humans, and we need to get back to that.
We need to get back to that. And I almost blame like companies that go public tend to get away from human focus because they're so focused about the numbers because they have to report to their shareholders.
Yeah.
But as leaders in those companies, we determine how our companies operate. We determine the culture, and we need to create that and keep it. So thank you so much for doing that.
You're welcome.
Our listeners who are like, I want to be part of what moves her, or I want to reach out to Kevelyn, how can they reach you?
They could just they could go to the website and go to cbwarburg.com, and there is a section at the top that says what moves her, and you can subscribe, or they can follow me on Instagram, Kevelyn Guzman. That's my handle on Instagram.
Yeah, your Instagram is fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Sam, for having me.
If this episode shifted your thinking, then share it with someone bold. And remember, capital is a tool. Use it to build a world you are proud to live in.